Right, so tonight's two-part planting is starting with one that I was not expecting to have to be a replacement. So this is actually going to be replacing a Euphorbia tyricale, which is the pencil tree, which is largely indestructible, but unfortunately something destructed one while I was not here. It snipped through the base of it, so I will actually at the end of this be potting it into one of the bags from tonight's planting, so we can replant it once it's rerouted, but yeah, something has snap through. I don't think, which can happen if they go in very wet, but this really didn't. I don't think that it's rotted through. I think something has broken it at some point, probably something digging along or just perching on it at an inopportune time, because this was a little bit etiolated, so it could have snapped. But anyway, we're going to be replacing that with a nice piece of the Yucca gigantea, which is a Central American Yucca, which becomes rather arborescent. It should be quite good in the same spot. It should get quite large, quite tall. It'll be a little more open than the Euphorbia, and it should also have a much less negative impact on the soil. The only reason this didn't go in when the Euphorbia did was because I didn't think this was rooting, and it turns out it still wasn't, but its stem had firmed up quite a lot while I'd been away, so I thought maybe as it had warmed up it started rooting, but clearly if it has, it's smaller than the scale I can see yet. But it seems fairly perky, so hopefully it'll root fairly fast. We are also going to be adding an extra companion plant on top of the two that are already in here, which is a Crassula arborescens and an Aloe arborescens. We're also going to be adding a Strophanthus, and I'm not sure which one. It was given to me by a friend. It's one of the climbing ones. He did tell me the name, but it has slipped my mind, so I will tell you when it flowers. Anyway, that's going to be going in, wrapping around the stem, and then I'm just going to be watering those in. For part 2, we're doing sort of another replacement, although not quite in the same way. So what we're going to be doing is, where there is already a sapling of Delonix regia, which is the flamboyant, a beautiful Madagascan tree growing, we're going to be planting a Soursop. Now the reason I'm doing this is because this is not somewhere I want a Delonix regia. They are quite aggressive in seeding beneath adult trees, and there are several adult trees here already, and they can really shift the chemistry of the soil if there's too many of them too close together, and not in a good way, generally speaking. So I will be removing this sapling, but for now it's quite a good marker for this, and that way I can coppice it, and maybe during the rains I'll be able to remove it with enough root to transplant it. We will see. With the little Soursop, which is Annona muricata, which is going to be going in next to this, we're going to be putting in 2 nice shade-tolerant succulents as ground cover around it, and also just to keep it a little bit protected from the chickens, because this is an area they do like to dig up quite a lot. So we're going to be putting in one of the variants of the West African Sansevieria trifasciata. This is the moonshine variant, which is usually very pale. This one is a little greener than it should be because it's been getting a little bit less water than it would like, and they tend to get a bit darker than that, especially if they're in shade. And then we're going to be putting in a piece of the Peperomia obtusifolia, which is sometimes called the dwarf rubber plant. It's not actually that closely related to rubber plants, it's more closely related to pepper itself, but it's mostly just a really shade-tolerant and generally pretty hardy ground cover. So that should be everything for today. Thank you very much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed it, and if you haven't enjoyed it, thank you for watching anyway. Please tune in again tomorrow, because I will be planting something else. It probably will be in the dark again, but we'll see.